Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the law of attraction, manifesting success stories show comes in. If you are ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome to this episode. I am here with Lainie Hodges. Welcome, Lainie.
Hello, happy to be back once again. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk about what we're talking about today. Of course, I am your host, Cassie Parks. So let's just get into it, Lainie. What's awesome?
What's awesome is my favorite part of the year is coming up in terms of my work when I go out and see all my NFL clients, since the draft is this weekend and the rookies will head to their teams in the coming weeks. So then it's my turn.
Yay! That's awesome. How many more, you might not know this off the top of your head, I meant to ask it right before, but how many more clients do you have this year than you did last year in that realm?
I believe I've doubled it so far, and there's a couple of teams that have not booked yet. So.
Yeah. How does
so those could still happen this summer, or they could happen in the fall as well, because there are teams that bring me in at that point. So it feels incredible to continue to grow the business in that specific way every year.
Yeah. Ooh, that's awesome. What are you most excited about? Because you're a different person. You have more information on your future self. You have grown so much since the last season, your last, the season where you work with them is obviously not the same as the actual season, but you've grown so much since then. What are you most looking forward to about these upcoming clients for you?
I think what I'm most looking forward to is stepping in and facilitating with that new confidence in my work and being very proud and solid in what I'm bringing to the table. I think there have been times when in the past, maybe I've questioned, like, is this effective? Does this work? Okay, actually, so that happens almost every workshop.
I get it.
And then we get to the end and people are like, this was so incredible. It's like, oh, right. That's what I do. And I think part of that is a function of when you're doing similar work each time, you can kind of get caught up in it's not quite mundane because it's improv, so it's always something new, but I'm always doing the same thing each time. And I sort of forget that for each client I'm working with, it's totally new for them.
Right.
So they are having sort of profound insights as we go through the work. And that's always exciting and a great reminder of how powerful the work is. So this year, rather than going into any of these teams with sort of hesitation or trepidation of like, oh my gosh, are they going to like this? I don't care because I know they will.
Right.
And I no longer am concerned about getting that validation. I stand much stronger in my work now than I did 6 months ago and certainly a year ago.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. I love it.
Which means I really take value too in what I'm charging. I know my price and I don't hesitate on it. And teams are saying yes. So that's awesome as well.
That is awesome.
And I raised the price too. I went up.
Yay. Yeah. Oh, so not only have you doubled, but you've more than doubled the income that you're going to bring in.
Yes.
How does that feel?
It now feels great. Initially there was some anxiety when I hit send on some of those emails with the when the first or second teams got back to me and didn't raise any issue on the price, then it was a moment of, okay, that's it. That's the price this year. And we're going to move forward with that. So there hasn't been any hesitation from any teams. They've all said, yep, this works in our budget. And, there's my price. And then there's also the additional cost of, it's my travel, my accommodations. Mm-hmm. So it's really exciting and also in a way humbling, with a lot of gratitude that people see the value in my work and want to bring me out to work with their players.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love it. So speaking of players, you've been scripting about being taken care of, right?
Mhm.
And so how is that? And your script isn't, it is about this a little bit. Actually, that's the script we're working. But talk about how being taken care of, like you've been scripting about that and it's happening.
It's becoming more of a mindset, I would say, and
Mm-hmm.
an expectation that just I'm taken care of because I have been scripting that, and that was a shift in my scripting too. Rather than scripting about a complimentary breakfast at the hotel and saying like I'm grateful for complimentary breakfast, I transitioned that into I'm grateful I'm taken care of, because that's ultimately what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to go buy my breakfast because it's already there. So having a mindset around that helps me also recognize it when it happens in my world. So earlier this week, one of my clients sent me all my travel information, and yes, they booked my flight, but they also sent me my hotel itinerary, and then it included all of my car service already. So I don't have to submit Uber receipts for reimbursement. I don't have to pay for my flight and get reimbursed, any of that. It's all taken care of. I am taken care of. All I have to do is get on the plane.
Yes.
Yeah. And then it showed up, in other personal fun ways when my friend works for broadcasting with the local baseball team, the Rockies, and he was kind enough to get us incredible seats for the game this past weekend. And then it includes a visit to come see him up in the broadcast booth, and got to bring the kids up. And that was like the picture I have of them in there, like the grin of just pure joy was incredible. And then we got to walk around the club level, and it just felt like this is where we're supposed to be. And I even said to them, the next time we're going to be sitting in club level,
Yeah.
not just touring around it. That's where our seats will be. So that felt really abundant and luxurious, and we definitely felt taken care of in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
We also got free parking.
Yes, that's a big deal. That is a big deal. And that is being taken care of, right? Sometimes it's not even like you could pay for it, but it just feels more taken care of when like you don't have to mess with any of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that. I think that it's starting to rub off a little bit on my partner.
Yes.
In terms of my vocalizing, like when these things are happening, like, of course this happened. Of course we didn't have to pay for parking. Of course this is taken care of. And I think it's starting to open up for him too, that you can create these things and manifest these things in your life.
Oh, I love that. And we're coming back to that. I'm making a note. But I want to point out something for the listeners. I'm sure you get it, but there's such a difference in my favorite leap that you guys make, or that, sometimes I coach people and sometimes it just happens naturally in scripting, is from that place of, I'm so grateful for this breakfast, to I'm so grateful I'm taken care of, right? Because it becomes a worldly thing instead of a moment thing. And it's in the moment, but it translates out. I mean, that was where my, I'm so grateful I'm so well taken care of, like came out of scripting in a moment like that, where I was like, ooh, what's the bigger, what am I really grateful for? And so I want to follow up on that too. It's not just like, oh, everything's taken care of, it's easier, but also like if you don't have to submit receipts, you don't have to track your Ubers, you don't have to do any of that, like you're making more money because it's taking you less time to make the same amount of money, right?
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it gives me more freedom and time, which was one of the main reasons I went back out on my own from a regular job, was to have more freedom. And so this feeds into one of the main reasons that I left my previous job in education. So wonderful to feel that feeling.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So
And as I look forward to the next couple months, like I am taken care of in so many ways by each of these clients, and the things that are happening in May and June. So it's going to be really fun to continue to feel into that.
Yeah. Oh, so awesome. I can't wait to see what other stuff happens because, step one is I'm hearing the script. Step two is recognizing it in your life. And what happens next is like, it just keeps piling on. Like it gets better and better.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited to hear all about that.
Me too.
I love it. So, will you say a little bit more about how being who you are, because this is a common question I get all the time. It's like, well, what if my partner's not LOA, or what if they don't know? Like, talk about how you being who you're being is naturally just opening your partner up. You touched on it a little bit, but
Yeah. I guess I've just noticed some shifts in him in like a softening type of way. And more conversations that we're having just around like trusting the process, trusting where we are right now, being conscious of the energy we're bringing to anything that we're doing, which ties into just setting the intention before you take action. So I think that by being the example or being the lighthouse of this, it does rub off on people rather than, trying to teach him or shove it down his throat on my own. I think by just being that example, it has people be curious about like, well, what are they doing
right.
that maybe I can learn from? So it's more like I'm guiding you rather than like pulling you along.
Yes. Which is so much more effective for anyone listening who's had this question. So when you guys met, and this is whatever answer is amazing. I just want to get a before and after. What do you think on a scale of 1 to 10? Like, how LOA did he live his life? I mean, he found you, so he gets points there, right? Like,
and he did find me, and he said you looked like you were having fun. So
yes.
It was my energy in that space that caught his eye.
Right.
I would say he was probably on the lower end of the scale, maybe like a 3 or a 4, because sometimes I hear him reference things that I think are in alignment with him. He might not just see it that way yet.
Right. Yeah,
but
totally.
I think it exists more in his world than he's aware of.
Right.
And so I think at least now he's pushed maybe to like around a 6.
Nice.
So yeah.
I think that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Cause you don't have to shove anything down, for listeners, you don't have to shove anything down. You don't have to be concerned that like, oh, like they're not 100% there yet. Right. It doesn't have to be the red flag that's like, oh, I can't be in this relationship. Right. They're not as LOA enough. Right.
Yep. Yeah. Cause I think I had questions about that early on, just knowing how much work that I do and how much I've learned, and he hasn't read the same books and all that kind of stuff. And that's okay. It's a learning process for all of us. And he's curious about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a huge step too. And so then when you're curious about it, then I can give you information.
Right. That's the trick, right? Is this be you, be the lighthouse. And when they're curious, like just fill them in.
Here, read Cassie's book.
I love it. So awesome. Very cool. So let's talk a little bit about, trusting and follow-up, because you had a lot of, after last time we had talked about, you went to the conference, the player engagement conference, and so there were a lot of opportunities that you could have taken to follow up. And we've had a couple discussions about sort of traditional business is like, you follow up, you follow up, you follow up, you follow up. Right. Mm-hmm. And so talk about how you're doing that differently because of who you are and your future self.
Right. One big step that I took after the player engagement conference was there was an International Association of Player Development Specialists, a conference that they have coming up in New York in May. The past 2 years, it did not align with my travel schedule for NFL clients, so I wasn't able to go. Plus, it was in Daytona, which is a little tougher to get to than New York City. So I haven't been able to go for 2 years. And then this year I went and looked and saw, it's dates that are open. It's in New York again. And so I had the intuitive hit to reach back out to the head of that organization, who I've maintained a relationship with over the years, and then was able to say, hey, I just facilitated for the NFL player engagement conference. Are you interested in something like that for this summit? And almost immediately they got back, and it wasn't, what can you do for us? It was, can you do this? Here's what we're thinking. Can you handle this for us? Yep, done. We'll pay for your flights. Oh, well, there's this many people. Okay, then I need extra team members. No problem. Pay for their flights. So everyone is taken care of, not just me in this situation.
Mhm.
And it's a really huge opportunity that, again, I had the confidence for. I'd stepped into who that person was, who would reach out with that offer, and not just an offer for myself and to grow my business. Yes, it is that opportunity, but also really offering them, here's a way that I can serve your program,
Mhm.
to help to bring everyone together and make it that much better. It's already going to be a fantastic summit. And then I can bring something with my team that just moves it up that little notch or two. So really excited for that opportunity. And it's international sports organization. So it's touching on organizations in the US that I've been looking to break into for a while, as well as international organizations, which I've been scripting about a lot. So
Mhm.
really excited to see what comes of it. And I'm not going into it with an anxiety of like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? I have to get X amount of teams interested in me, or this wasn't worth it. Or like, I don't care, as in I've just let go of that
Mhm.
expectation. And I just want to go and have fun and show people how amazing improv is.
Which is all of that was amazing. And did you go to this conference 3 years ago?
I believe it was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so how did you show up then compared to how you're showing up now?
So when I went 3 years ago, I was going into, or maybe it was 4.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
I just remember I hadn't worked with an NFL team yet. I had my first NFL team lined up for about 2 weeks after
Mhm.
the summit. So I think I was going in there talking about what I did, probably didn't have very impactful language
Mhm.
about it, or a way to describe it, in a way that people understood it.
Mhm.
So people were interested in it, but I don't think that I could really express the power of it back then. And I don't remember, I think I put on the performance of confidence. In reality, I don't think I was that confident in sharing it. However, I made a lot of connections there, learned a lot more about, what teams were looking for. So now I'm going into it with the confidence about what I do, with the confidence to share it, and to actually do it there at the event. And just excited to see where people want to apply it and how they want to apply it. Because I have my own ideas, and then you also find out once they experience it that it can also be applied in so many other places. So it's going to
Absolutely.
be awesome. And it's on I forget which floor, but of the new Hudson Yards project.
Yeah.
So it's going to be overlooking all of Manhattan.
So awesome.
Very magical.
Right? Totally magical. Because when you do more cool things in your life, you get more cool experiences.
Absolutely. And speaking of being taken care of, when I was mapping out where the hotel is, versus Hudson Yards, I was thinking, because I used to live in New York, so in my head I'm timing out how long that walk would be. And then I got an email from them with a schedule, and it's like, the bus will leave the hotel at,
Oh,
oh,
problem solved.
we get a bus to the event. Don't even have to walk.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. You had said, you reached out is what can I do for you versus like for yourself, right? What can you do for that organization? How can you support them? How can you make it better versus you? And I think this is something that a lot of people in business try to teach, or I've heard before, but I think it's definitely more of an energetic thing, right? But it's also, how do you think you got to that place because you've grown? Do you think it's because your future self is like, I'm always in demand? Like, what do you think is the key for making that switch?
I would say that's part of it. But like understanding the value of my work, and saying that sort of mantra, my work is in demand. And I think too, even the NFL conference, in my picturing how I was thinking it might go,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of, the number of teams that would bring me in my head, it was going to be like 90% of teams.
Right.
That didn't happen. Yes, I got more clients. However, I think I'm also remembering my work is pretty radical.
Right.
And it is challenging to grasp and understand. And I had been told by other clients that there are some teams that just will not get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think before I looked at that as like a measure of it's my fault that they're not getting it.
Right.
Whereas now it's like, it's okay if they don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to get it at some point, and they're going to bring me in, and they're going to wish they'd done it sooner.
Right.
And that's fine. And so I am excited to work with those who are ready to work with me, and it'll grow from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I just love how that shift happens, because I think so many entrepreneurs are like, oh no, I'm supposed to be for everybody. I can help everybody, which is true. You could help every single team. They're just not there, right? Like they aren't ready. They aren't open. It's not in their realm of possibilities yet, right?
Yeah, exactly. When I look at the teams, that are ready, there are some cultural differences.
Yeah.
In terms of just how they're run, how they're managed. And that's also okay.
Right.
It's exciting that one of the more conservative sports leagues is even open to improv.
Yes.
So just wait till the more liberal ones hear what I have to offer.
Right. I love that. And I just going to sum that up for listeners is that really what you were saying was, the place that you switched to, I know that I can support you, was A, gaining confidence in your work, but also realizing not all clients are for you. And like coming to terms with that, which is a huge, huge thing for entrepreneurs, coaches, any type of work like this, is just understanding that, because then you can stop chasing the ones who aren't for you and just focus on the ones that are. And you show up more powerful when you do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's so much letting go in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
That's important. And it's the type of letting go that comes from growth and then leads to more growth.
Absolutely. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about follow-up, because we had some follow-up questions, and I love how we're on this path for entrepreneurs and how their beingness, changes what actions you take, right? Versus the quote unquote traditional actions. You do things a little bit different when you're owning your power and you're stepping into your future self.
Yeah, I'm still, like the last time we talked, I had submitted a large proposal to a company that had come for me for support for their group. And I haven't heard back yet. And I don't take that. I think a year ago, I might have taken that as like, oh, they don't like me, or they don't think this is valuable, or whatever story I might tell myself.
Or I didn't do the proposal right. Would you have thought that?
Probably, yep. Didn't do the proposal right, didn't say the right things, didn't do the right things. And I don't have those worries.
Yay.
So, they have not gotten back to me. And it's crossed my mind to follow up and just, check in. However, I know that the woman that I've been communicating with wouldn't just drop this ball and pretend that I never submitted
right
proposal. It just takes this long. And I have learned that through working in sports, that there is a lot of hurry up and wait.
Right.
So in the meantime, I can prepare as if.
Right.
These things will come to fruition, and just focus on the work as well that I do have, which has been plenty. And I love that means just planning improv games.
Right. So fun.
I went and bought some toys today, to play our next game. They're colored balls and they light up. I was like, oh wow.
Awesome.
This will be fun for tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Take those on the road.
Super fun. I love it. And you ran a relationship workshop a couple weeks or last
weekend.
Did. Yeah.
Last weekend I'd had a request just from friends who are aware of my work and had asked, are there any opportunities that you'll have to do improv outside of my businesses or athletes or whatever I'm doing. And so that inspired me to do a couples workshop using improv as a communication tool. Because again, improv is not about being witty or being a comedian. It's funny often, but improv is really about building with what you have, and communicating. And
Mm-hmm.
communication goes two ways. That's listening as well as speaking. So we used improv as a way to help couples improve on their communication skills, and people found it really impactful and powerful. So I really appreciated the feedback that I got. People felt that there was a ton of value in the workshop, and I'm excited to leverage that going forward, not only to continue doing this introductory class, but the people that attended requested more levels. So
That's awesome.
Yes.
Right? It's always awesome when somebody loves your work and they want more of it.
Absolutely. And I love that people see and experience the value of improv for themselves. It's just exciting to share such a great tool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so fantastic. It's so fun. And it's fun when people get to see it and get it, because then they're like, oh, I do need that, right? Not like, oh, that's just somebody being silly on stage. Like, no, this will change your life.
It will change your life. Yes, it will. So if anyone out there is thinking of doing improv, listening to this, and you feel a little anxiety about it or nervousness, that is the signal from your body that it's the exact thing you should be doing.
Yes.
So sign up.
Go sign up wherever the class is. Awesome. If you're in Denver, you can connect with Lainie and see what she has to offer and where else she recommends as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. I had an improv question. Oh, because I wanted to, what I thought about your relationship workshop, because you were actually doing your last scripting workshop, and you just sent out the email on a break, like easy, right? Like no drama, no like, oh my God, I got to prepare. I mean, all entrepreneurs do this in the beginning, right? It's like such like this big deal before we send out an email in the early days. And you're just like, oh, on the break, I just sent this email and I already have 2 people signed up or a couple signed up, right? Or
yeah. Yeah. And to build on that, ultimately, I had 3 couples sign up. I had planned room at least for 5 couples. And had 4, and then 1 couple unfortunately had to pull out due to scheduling conflicts with their work. And there was some nervousness about, oh my gosh, like now the number of couples is uneven. Is this going to work? Should I reschedule? Should I like try my hardest to find a 4th couple to join us? And then I decided to just trust what I had. Mm-hmm. And then once I went through the workshop, I was like, oh, actually 3 couples is a good number.
Loving that happen.
Yeah. It's worked really well.
Yeah.
So it was a good learning experience for me too.
I love that. And I'm thinking back to like one of the first workshops you ever did when you quit your job, and sort of the ease that now comes. It's like, oh, I sent an email and maybe a couple emails or posted a couple times on Facebook, and I had a full workshop, versus back then it was harder and it was different and it didn't flow. I think you would say that, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's the biggest difference between who you are now and who you were then? Which was still amazing, like, by the way, which was still
It was an amazing workshop.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And 2 of the people from that workshop were in the couples workshop with their partner.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it speaks to the trust they have in the work. Mm-hmm. Which is humbling as well. So I think, for that one, the first one, it's so nerve-wracking. Like, is anyone going to come? Yeah. And then are they really going to get something out of it? Like, is there going to be value? And just judgment of yourself and worrying about how they're going to judge you and what they're going to think about you and all this kind of stuff. And I just, it was nerve-wracking. And when I reflect on it, I'm like, there were a lot of people in that workshop.
There was a lot of people in that workshop.
And then I hear people like, Marie Forleo, who I had followed in her B School program. And you see the success of so many of these leaders. And she shared a story that like her first workshop was in her parents' basement, and it was her mom and her sister. Right. And it's like, oh, my first workshop, I had way more people than that.
Right. Yeah.
Proper theater. So it's, not to compare necessarily, but it's like relax a little bit.
Right. Is that what you would tell yourself 3 to 4 years ago, whenever that was?
Relax.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's all going to be fine. It's all going to go well. And we've got an improv camp this summer for teens.
So awesome.
That we just started to promote as well. And I'm not stressing about the signups for that. Like, it's all going to work out exactly how it's supposed to. And that's all I need to put my energy towards. That doesn't mean I don't promote it or don't do anything and just be like, it's going to magically happen.
Right.
I still have work to do to get it out there. And I trust that whoever signs up is exactly who is supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that supposed to be there is different now that things work out for you? Like, you expect supposed to be is always a success versus like, oh, if no one shows up, it'll be okay, sort of a thing. That might not be the right words, but.
Yeah, like, so in that vein, and I think through my work with you, and then also just through improv and I guess just life, when things haven't turned out the way that maybe I planned or wanted, they've turned out in the way they needed to for me to learn, or maybe for a redirection or whatever that might be. So I wouldn't see any outcome as a failure or, oh, what a mistake, I shouldn't have planned this. I no longer look at life through that lens. It's not, why is this happening to me? It's, why is this happening for me? Or what is this trying to teach me?
Yeah.
So I was looking for the lesson rather than feeling like some victim of circumstance.
Right. Yeah. I love it. Cool. Well, thank you for sharing all that. I don't know that you were prepared to share as much of the entrepreneur stuff as I threw at you, but
my pleasure.
Yeah, it's a good lesson. And I love, I'm passionate about teaching that, right? Like that, it is just what you said, like just because it didn't work out the way you planned doesn't mean it didn't give you the inspiration, the learning, the tool to have it better next time and the way it's supposed to be, right? Like
Absolutely.
you said, I love it. Well, it's actually better with 3 couples, right? Like you didn't do anything wrong. It was all working for you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And I think entrepreneurs can't hear that enough. So thank you for sharing all of your stories as well. Any advice for entrepreneurs today?
Advice for entrepreneurs. Continue to trust the process, and not just to entrepreneurs. I think that's for anyone in life, because we're so wedded to how something is supposed to look, or that it has to happen on this timeline. I think we miss a lot, and whether missing lessons or opportunities, redirections, because we're so narrowly focused on what we think it should look like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that can get really frustrating. So trust, surrender, and that's not surrender in terms of give up.
Right.
It's surrender in terms of trusting.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Huge sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let go and go with the flow instead of trying to change what's happening for you. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I love it. Cool. Well, tell everybody how they can connect with you if they want to do improv, they want to bring you in with their company or their team.
Absolutely. One of the best places to go to is my website, which is www.improvalchemy.com. And that is IMPROV, make sure I spell this right, ALCHEMY. So improvalchemy.com. You can reach out to me there, or you can find me on LinkedIn, Lainie Hodges, LAINIE HODGES. Improv Alchemy on Facebook. You can find me in any of those places, and I would love to support any organization, ensemble to grow and learn, play, and have some fun.
I love it. Thank you, Lainie.
Thank you. See you next time.
See you next time. And thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to come back and see what else is awesome in Lainie's life next time.
Thank you for joining us on the Law of Attraction, Manifesting Success Stories show. To learn how to identify your current money story, go to identifyyourmoneystory.com.